If you're in the market for a new computer or are considering upgrading your existing one of the biggest decisions you'll have to make is whether to go with a solid-state drive, SSD, or a hard disk drive, HDD, for your storage needs. Both options come with their own advantages and disadvantages, and choosing the right one for you will depend on a variety of factors. In this video, we'll take a closer look at SSD versus HDD and explore the pros and cons of each option. What is an HDD? Let's start with hard disk drives, or HDDs. An HDD is a storage device that uses a spinning disk to store data. The disk is coated with a magnetic material and is read and written to by a set of reading heads that are attached to an arm. The arm moves across the disk to access different parts of it, allowing data to be read or written. HDDs have been around for a long time and are the more traditional option when it comes to computer storage. They come in a variety of storage capacities, ranging from just a few gigabytes to several terabytes. Pros of HDDs. One of the biggest advantages of HDDs is their affordability. They are generally much cheaper than SSDs when it comes to cost per gigabyte. HDDs also tend to have larger storage capacities than SSDs. This means that if you need a lot of storage space, an HDD might be the better choice for you. Cons of HDDs. One of the biggest drawbacks of HDDs is that they are slower than SSDs, because the arm has to physically move across the disk to access data. Read and write speeds are much slower than what you would get with an SSD. Additionally, HDDs are more prone to failure than SSDs. Since they have moving parts, they are more susceptible to damage from drops, bumps or other physical impacts. What is an SSD? Now let's talk about solid-state drives, or SSDs. An SSD is a storage device that uses non-volatile memory to store data. This means that there are no moving parts, unlike an HDD. Data is accessed electronically, which allows for much faster read and write speeds. SSDs are a relatively new technology and were first introduced in the early 2000s. They come in a variety of storage capacities as well, ranging from a few gigabytes to several terabytes. Pros of SSDs. One of the biggest advantages of SSDs is their speed. Because there are no moving parts, data can be accessed much more quickly than with an HDD. This makes SSDs ideal for tasks such as loading programs, booting up your computer, and accessing large files. Another advantage of SSDs is that they are more durable and reliable than HDDs. Because there are no moving parts, there is less chance of damage from physical impacts. Additionally, since data is accessed electronically, there is a lower risk of data loss or corruption. Cons of SSDs. One of the biggest disadvantages of SSDs is cost. SSDs tend to be much more expensive than HDDs when it comes to cost per gigabyte. SSDs also tend to have smaller storage capacities than HDDs. This means that if you need a lot of storage space, an SSD might not be the best choice for you. SSD versus HDD, which one should you choose? Now that we've explored the pros and cons of both SSDs and HDDs, let's talk about which one you should choose. If you're on a tight budget or need a lot of storage space, an HDD might be the better choice for you. HDDs are generally much cheaper than SSDs and tend to have larger storage capacities. However, if speed and reliability are your top priorities, then an SSD is the way to go. SSDs are much faster and more reliable than HDDs, making them ideal for tasks such as loading programs, booting up your computer, and accessing large files. In conclusion, both SSDs and HDDs have their own unique advantages and disadvantages. Choosing the right one for you will ultimately depend on your needs and budget. If you need a lot of storage space and are on a tight budget, an HDD might be the better choice. However, if speed and reliability are your top priorities, then an SSD is the way to go.